Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Aafiyah Women's Collective's Health and Wellness Chat. For those who may be joining us for the first time, my name is Dr. Fozia, and I am the founder of Aafiyah Women's Collective. At Aafiyah Women's Collective, we believe that wellness is not simply the absence of illness, it is a holistic state of well being that encompasses the social, emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual health. Our
Mhm.
goal is to create spaces where women can learn, grow, heal, and thrive together. Through programs such as Health and Wellness Chats, our Sister Stroll Sunday with other organizations as partners, the
Mhm.
wellness workshops, retreats, and book discussions, and community gatherings, we seek to foster meaningful conversations and practical strategies that help women prioritize their well being while remaining grounded in faith, purpose, and community. One of the things I love most about these monthly conversations is that they allow us to learn from women who are doing important work in their respective fields and who can also offer us insights that are both practical and inspiring. Many of us spend so much of the year pouring into our families, our work, our communities, and countless responsibilities that we often neglect ourselves in the process. Summer offers a unique opportunity to pause, reflect, and intentionally reset before the demands of life begin to pull us back into unhealthy patterns. Today, we will explore why summer can be an ideal season for us to have a wellness reset, movement as medicine without extremes, and setting wellness goals that are attainable and life giving. To help guide us through this important discussion, I'm honored to welcome Sister Nefertiti Rashid. Sister Nefertiti is passionate about helping individuals pursue wellness in ways that are sustainable, balanced, and aligned with living a healthy and fulfilling life. I'm excited for us to benefit from her knowledge, experience, and practical wisdom today. So, thank you so much for joining us, Sister Nefertiti. I will now pass it on to you and have you tell us more about yourself.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me today. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. As already mentioned, my name is Nefertiti Rashid. I currently serve as a wellness and fitness program manager for federal occupational health for the Department of Health and Human Services, where I support employee health and wellness since 2015. And prior to that, and outside of my professional role, wellness has been a lifelong passion of mine. Over the years, I've worked and currently work as a fitness instructor, personal trainer, women's nutrition and weight loss coach, and previously owned a women's only fitness studio dedicated to helping women improve their health, fitness, and overall well being. On a personal note, I am the mother of two adult sons and a former homeschool mom. Those experiences, along with my professional background, has given me a deep appreciation for the many roles women navigate throughout our lives and the challenges we face trying to balance faith, family, work, caregiving, community involvement. We can go on, but most important, self care.
Yes.
One thing I've learned over the years is that wellness isn't about perfection. It's
Mhm.
about creating sustainable habits that help us care for ourselves so that we can better serve our families, our communities, and most important, fulfill the responsibilities Allah has entrusted in us. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here with you today, and I look forward to our conversation, inshallah.
Inshallah, thank you so much for that. Definitely a lot to unpack with knowing your background and things like that. I'm super excited to jump into this. So, the very first question I have for you is why do we need a summer reset?
Why do? That's a good question. A summer reset, in my opinion, is a great opportunity to pause and check with ourselves before burnout catches up with us.
Mm.
Is a chance to evaluate what's working, what's not working, make intentional adjustments to support our physical, emotional, and spiritual well being. Summer's often associated with vacations and relaxation, and we know that's not the experience for everyone. Some women often become busier during the summer, of course. Some of us, our children are out of school. We're working on more meal preparations, busier schedules. And then for some, you might have a slower pace. But what matters is using the change in season as a reminder to assess how we're doing and what we need. And as Muslims, we understand that our bodies, our minds, our hearts are all in a manner, a trust from Allah. And a summer reset is really about honoring that trust.
All right, thanks for that. So, share with us, if you will please, what are some of the signs that tell us that our bodies and minds are overdue for restoration?
Okay. Common signs that our bodies are overdue at restoration. Fatigue, chronic fatigue, irritability, brain fog, poor sleep,
Mm,
stress or increased stress, emotional exhaustion, or maybe
mm,
just feeling disconnected from things that normally bring us joy. I often say that our bodies whisper before they scream.
mm.
If we ignore the whispers long enough, then eventually they become louder, and they're louder signals that we can't, overlook or
Yeah,
ignore.
right, right. You don't want to end up in the hospital or something like that before you really pay attention to your body's little whispers, like you said.
Right.
SubhanAllah. All right. So let's move on to reclaiming our physical wellness. Many women think that wellness requires drastic changes. Like I got to be in the gym 24/7, maybe not 24/7, but like 3 hours a
Mm-hmm.
day. Um, and that's not always the case. What are some of the simple shifts that can make a meaningful difference?
Okay. And this one's simple, and people usually overcomplicate it, and the internet and social media doesn't help. So small changes would be maybe drinking more water, taking
Mm,
daily walks, eating protein with meals, getting enough sleep, and then maybe this is your total wellness and small changes, spending a little more time with dhikr or reflection, just learning to be consistent in any
mhm.
small actions, because anything small that you do regularly often produce greater results than anything drastic that usually just lasts a few days before they burn out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. And when you say protein, I want this to be very practical. Give me examples, share with us examples of actual protein food items that people can consume.
Okay, and sometimes in certain topics, I'm trying to be careful not to overcomplicate and overwhelm
Right,
anyone. Because now you hear, of course, you may hear it a lot more often than you used to, how important it is to have protein, and
right.
then everything has got protein in it, and you don't know what, you should be doing. Um, in general, not talking about if you're vegan or, have a special diet, but in general, it just means having um, uh, eggs in the morning, maybe dairy. So say you have oats, which isn't protein in the morning, you need to have some type of protein. It could be dairy protein. It could be, eggs or egg whites in the morning. That could be your protein for the morning. For lunch, could be a Greek yogurt or some people like cottage cheese with fruit. And then, of course, with your meals, you want to have some type of lean meat, maybe some lean chicken. And I'm not against, dark meat because I like dark. But I like it bone, make sure that it's lean, not without the fat, without the skin, if you can help it. But lean chicken or lean ground meat in the 90 percentile. So that's kind of like having a serving of protein, which is about 3.5 to 4 ounces with your meals every day. Having
Yeah. Yeah. And I asked you to give actual examples because someone might be thinking, oh, protein bar, that qualifies. No, like you're talking about real actual food,
And you want
right?
whole, yeah, so
Whole food.
preferable whole food. I
Yes.
mean, if you depending on, everyone has different goals, and specific to someone else's protein goals, my protein goals will be different than like someone who has a different lifestyle. And you may need to supplement and add more because there's only so much meat you can eat. But in
Exactly.
general, starting with whole foods and even like, beans have protein in it, so you can add beans and then lessen maybe the amount of meat that you put on your meal. Um, Protein bars, I'm not against it. I don't personally like protein bars, but that's more of a taste thing than like as far as like if it's good for you or not. But you want to start with whole foods, of course.
Right, right. Okay, thanks for that. So how can movement become a form of self-care rather than a form of punishment, especially for women?
That's a good question, and I'll try not to be long-winded. Is that how you say? So I think that the biggest shift that a woman can make is changing the way they think about exercise. Too often, movement is viewed as punishment, something you have to do, and you don't want to do it. Um, or punishment for something you ate, or punishment of how much you weigh or how you look. And if you approach it from the mindset that exercise, if you approach it from that mindset, then exercise obviously becomes something that you dread rather than
Right.
something that supports your well being. So
Mhm.
instead, I encourage women to think about movement as an act of, and we're specifically in an Islamic space. So think of it as a gratitude of what Allah has enabled your body to do.
Mm.
Whether it's walking or stretching, strength training, gardening, dancing, or
Yeah.
just simply staying active throughout the day. Because on just a quick side note, you want to be active throughout the day. You think of consciously moving throughout the day instead of being sedentary and then, moving for however long and then sitting back down. But that's on another topic. Um, but staying active through the day, movement is one of the best ways to care for your body, and it's the body that Allah entrusted us with.
Yeah,
So Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam reminded us that our bodies, which we all have heard this, that our bodies have rights over us, right?
right.
When we move our body, we're honoring that trust. We're investing in our health, our energy, our mobility, and our quality of life. Um, I like I see this. I have an aging grandmother. She's in her late 90s. She is not able to do a lot for herself. So it's a constant reminder for me because although she's in this state that you would expect in her late 90s, she's been in this state probably for 20, 25 years. So probably in her late 70s, 80s, my grandmother has been, and it's a reminder that, only Allah knows at the end of the day when our time's going to be here. So it's our job to make sure that, we're able to pray and we're able to take care of ourselves. And you want to think beyond with exercise, beyond immediate results. Because you have to think long term benefits, because movement isn't just about how we look. It's about how you want to live 10, 20, 30 years from now. You want to be able to carry your groceries and play with your grandchildren and make salat and get up off the floor. So, you feel strong. Maintaining your balance and taking care of your family, and maybe not being, as much as you can help, not being a burden on your families as well. And when we start viewing exercise as a preparation for a healthy and active future, rather than a punishment for today's choices and what you ate last night, your relationship with movement is going to change. And movement becomes less about guilt, more about stewardship, less about appearance, more about health, less about punishment, and more about preserving your strength, your mobility, and independence that Allah's blessed us with.
Mashallah. Yes, definitely. Thanks for that reminder. Our body's an amana, and I feel like if we remember that, me included, if we remember that more and more in everything, if we're more conscious of that, we would do things definitely differently and
Mm-hmm.
um, actually take pleasure in moving our bodies because another thing someone mentioned to me at one point in my life was some folks have legs that don't walk, but if you have legs that actually can carry from place to place, make use of it. And remember
Mm-hmm.
that God has given you not just the legs, but also the ability to walk with them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a total mind shift for me at one point. Like, just because you have eyes that, doesn't mean you can see, but if you can see, if you have legs that can move.
Right.
So really, it's now become for me a combination of the physical wellness aspect and also the spiritual aspect,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're realizing, like, yes, subhanAllah, Allah has given us all this, things in our bodies, our health and wellness. Make use of it before you lose it, like you said. Subhanallah.
Yeah, and
All
it's
right.
a way to show gratitude, the
Got
constant
it.
gratitude, and by like you said, seeing someone who doesn't have what you have or can't do what you can do, then you show gratitude by using it.
MashaAllah. That's a great reminder. Thank you so much. So let's move on to preventing burnout before it even begins. June is Employee Wellness Month. How does burnout show up in both professional and personal life?
Um, I'm in the middle of a burnout. No. Um, so professionally, burnout often appears as lack of focus, reduced productivity, disengagement, chronic stress, how your body's handling, because stress is always going to be there, but how you handle it, or you struggle with how you're handling it. It can show up as emotional exhaustion, poor sleep, anxiety. You ever sleep and wake up in the middle of the night with work on your mind and can't go back to sleep?
Wow,
um,
yeah.
yeah, and so it doesn't just happen overnight. It develops when we continuously give without replenishing ourselves.
Yeah, it's a reminder to slow down, take it
Mm-hmm.
easy. And I'm glad you mentioned sleep because that's something that me included. I feel like sometimes I take it for granted. We actually have to get enough sleep
Mm-hmm.
to reset your body. Because the days that I don't sleep, I feel it the very next day when I,
Yeah.
stretch myself too far. All right. So, in your opinion, how can women establish healthier boundaries around work, caregiving, and community responsibilities?
Um, One lesson I've learned, both in wellness and professional, as a wellness professional and as a mother, is that every yes is also a no to something else.
Mm,
We need to protect our time for worship, rest, movement, personal well being, and healthy boundaries allow us to serve from a place of strength rather than depletion. And that's easier said than done, especially especially our nature as being caregivers, especially wanting to help others. Sometimes it's a learning curve as you get older, but it's something to always work on, saying no,
yeah.
and just kind of just creating that boundary to protect yourself and your own health.
Yeah. Yeah. So saying no and sticking with it and without guilt. That's what I meant to say.
That's a hard one
Without
too,
guilt.
because then
Yeah.
yeah, and not wanting to come across too hard. We always want to come, and it's hard finding a nice saying no without a reason or long explanation, because we
Right.
feel guilty. So I think just knowing, just, kind of learning and practicing over time, you'll get better and stronger at it, but always have that in your mind. And for me personally, and I still struggle with that, but I have to, we have to keep those boundaries. So my thing is, let me think about it.
Yeah.
I try to say, let me think even if I know it's going to be a yes, sometimes I have to practice, let me think about it, because sometimes I'll react of something I want to do and then later think back, oh, ooh, what did I do? Oh, and then looking at your schedule. So just kind of like, let me get back to you on that. And then just taking time. And that helps me, because I don't like just saying no.
No, no, no. And it's I feel like it's something we have to learn. Like you said, as caregivers, we want to be there for everyone, right? We want to be there for the family, the community, your friends, and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But we literally cannot.
It's
Moving is
it's
not there.
it's hard, and I know we're specifically talking about work, but it is challenging, and
Yeah,
then we always, and at different phases in our lives, there's a lot that we have to deal with, and
yeah,
me just sharing more personal, and of my life, I have an important role in my professional life, and I have to manage staff and responsible for thousands of employees. And I have an autistic adult son at home, and I have an aging grandmother, and and I'm a daughter, and there's so many things that we're trying to manage and make everybody happy, to the point where when you're not able to do certain things, and you have a right to not be able to do it, during the time you're not doing it, you feel, we have this guilt, and we feel bad that we can't be there, or we can't do this, but we can't do everything, and then it saves us so that we're stronger when we are able to do what we can do, so we're there, we're more present.
yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I greatly appreciate it. And for me, what's resonating with me is you saying every yes means a no to something else. And it makes me think of this. I think there was a clip of Ava DuVernay talking about like just work life so-called balance. And I don't like to use that word balance, and I'll tell you in a moment. But she said, whenever she's killing it in her professional life, that people need to know that she's not doing so great with, family life and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa. And for me, that rings true more as it reads more to me as a rhythm where there's no balance. I can't do everything 50
Mm-mm.
50 or 30 30,
Mm-hmm.
30 30 30 33. It's that, and I try to remember to remind my family of this. Like if I'm super busy with the business or the nonprofit or work, then know that I can't do XYZ at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
You need more
having those
help.
conversations really helped me maintain the rhythm of my life. And rather than me trying to balance it all out, like, okay, I'm gonna make myself do XYZ with the family. No, you're just gonna burn out. I've learned a lot, you
Right.
know?
You can't be 100% in everything. If you're 100% here, something else is being affected. And I agree
Yeah,
with you. I don't believe in balance, because that
yeah,
means you're giving everything equal attention every day.
not
Balance
possible.
means that you're giving the right things attention at the right time. And we know, as Muslims, we know, but we still struggle, that Islam is a religion of moderation.
Right.
Allah describes that we're a middle nation. We have the we don't we're not extreme. We need sustainable habits that support our faith, health, work. But we have to learn how to balance those things, because we can't give it all to everything.
Right, right. Thank you so much for that. So, moving on to building a sustainable wellness rhythm, and I prefer that term wellness rhythm.
Rhythm.
Why do so many wellness goals fail after a few weeks into it?
um, from my experience,
Hmm.
they fail because people try to do too much too fast, at once.
Mm,
You want to make a change, and you just try to change everything. Um, they set unrealistic expectations, adopt an all or nothing
mm,
attitude, and usually, if it all doesn't work out, then usually they give up. And that just again shows us that sustainable wellness is built through small, consistent habits, not dramatic short-term efforts, because they usually you burn yourself out.
yeah, yes.
And
Thanks for that. Go ahead, go ahead.
no, and it's just the same like all across wellness. If I'm working with a client who's new with fitness, you know, or say what we'll say weight loss. So say I'm working with a client and they're new to weight loss, new to exercise, new to all of it. I'm not going to give them a whole new plan, a whole exercise routine like all at once. We're going to start small steps, maybe a couple of weeks, getting the food balanced first. And then we're going to start integrating exercise, but it's slow, because, and then when you integrate it, it's not like, they want to do every day, 1 hour, 6 days a week. And I'm just like, and some people don't listen to me. I don't recommend you going from nothing to all of that. Start with 2 days a week, start with 20 minutes, 2 days a week, and then build from there, because the long term is more important than short term efforts, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm hearing is to make a wellness routine realistic and sustainable, start small,
Yes,
really
simple.
small, maybe, rather than just jump into it. Okay. So for those who may be listening to this, if someone feels overwhelmed, can you give us three habits that they could start on this week?
This week, okay. Um, so I don't want to be, I was trying not to be long-winded.
All right.
So if someone feels overwhelmed, one of the biggest mistakes they can make is trying to change everything at once, which as we've just talked about. Often overwhelm comes from feeling like there's too much to do already. And adding a long list of wellness goals can actually increase the stress instead of reducing it, which is what we're trying to do. So I've, of course, encourage you to start small and focus on foundational habits. So, one, I would say, as far as exercise, maybe start with 10-15 minute walk every
Mm,
day. The summertime is a great time to stop what you're doing and step away outside in the sun, fresh air. And this is a reminder to me too, but like when you're at work, I have a habit of taking my lunch at my desk, which is, and you have a habit of working if it's the computer's right in front of you. So I have to make myself get up out my office, go outside, sit outside, get some fresh air, but take 10-15 minutes every day. It's the most underrated exercise. You have a great group, every Sunday,
yeah.
the grain community together to walk, but it supports your heart health, reduces stress, increases your mood, improves your mood, increases your energy, and just helps clear your mind. So that's my first thing I would do, especially if you're not exercising. Just get up and get your body used to moving at least 15 minutes a day and build from there. Second, simple, but you'd be surprised, drink more water. Energy. A lot of times, you find yourself, dragging throughout the day, feeling tired, maybe even hungry, but you just ate. And the first thing you want to do is grab a cup of coffee, but then you have to ask yourself, how much water did I drink today? And not
Mm,
realizing that a lot of people are walking around dehydrated, and hydration causes low energy, causes a false sense of hunger, and makes you sluggish. And there's a whole lot of other things that, being dehydrated can do to you. But just, checking in with yourself and making sure that you're drinking enough water and staying hydrated. Simple, but, effective. And
yeah.
then third is just to bring the whole wellness together, is take time, even if it's just 5 minutes from your day, and just 5 minutes in gratitude.
Mm.
Maybe practicing box breathing, which is, something you can look into. It doesn't take that much time. Reading Quran, dhikr. Have your dhikr beads or your count. I'm a dhikr queen.
Love.
That everybody has their strength and their weaknesses, and when it comes to your ibadah. So like, yours might be dhikr, somebody else's might be Quran, but just kind of taking the time and not underestimating the power of pausing and reconnecting throughout the day, aside from your ritual ibadah, your salat, and taking that time just to kind of nourish yourself spiritually. And those would be the three things that I would just kind of, there's so many things, so just not to overwhelm. Those are three little simple things that I would,
Yeah.
suggest.
And I love it. It's something everyone can do. 10 to 15 minutes every day, mashallah. And it's like you said, it's summer. The sun rises earlier. So
Mm-hmm.
this is my own little trick. I try to get out the house before everyone else in the neighborhood or even my whole household before they get up. So you get
Mm-hmm.
to get your walk in early enough and you still have the whole day left, right?
Yep.
And I love the idea of water. I have to remind myself, like I literally keep a bottle of water on my desk all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
That helps. Yes.
staring at
Yep.
it.
But if you that works, because if you keep it full, water bottles are my biggest recommendation. Get a nice large one, fill it up, and then
Yeah.
focus on drinking it. Because if you don't, it takes more effort to have to get up and get a cup and get some water. But if
Yeah,
you have it there in front
they
of you, it's a
already.
constant reminder. Yeah.
Yes, no, I'm telling you, I say I'm playing tricks with my mind, but it's been so effective to
Yes.
just have it right there. I love it. And then the gratitude, taking time to for gratitude. If car you're making, if it's reading Quran, if it's just the box breathing is also a great one. Thank you so much for those.
hmm
I hope everyone else who's listening to this will be able to try some of these out. And if you do try them out, please let us know how that's going up for you. I do have one on closing reflection question for you. So, what does reclaiming your wellness look like for you this summer?
For me, reclaiming, protecting my, so for me, I'm gonna use a complete sentence. For me, reclaiming wellness means protecting my peace,
Mm,
um, nourishing my body, staying connected with Allah, and really just managing stress better.
mm.
And just focus on managing because, I always say stress is always going to be there. It's how we manage it and how we react to it.
So, how do you manage your stress? I'm curious to hear.
Me
What do you
personally,
do? Yeah,
exercise.
I know.
not
Mashallah.
not everybody, and then that's not everybody's thing. For me,
Yeah.
it's sort of something. For me, I get up in the morning and I exercise before I go to work in the morning. So for me, it's taking 30 minutes because I'm not, as I've gotten older, that's all I need. And that's we didn't talk about exercise, but you don't need that much time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But just taking that time, and just like I need it. I went through a period earlier this year where I had an injury and I had to I had PT personal PT twice a week for the last 4 months, and I really had to limit what I could do, and I struggled. And I know I use it for my mental health, but me movement is for my mental health. So I struggled and I had to find different ways. I'm an artist. It was a minute. I haven't opened up my art since COVID. So I had to dig out the closet and open up all the boxes. I have a whole, I can fill up a room with the art supplies I have in there. So I was like drawing, trying to find ways. But for me, it's movement. I have to move my body for my own mental health. And it's for me outside of like classes that I teach because that's me giving energy to other people. So that's important for me. And just kind of managing the stress because, we all have a lot of stuff going on in our
Yeah.
busy lives.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And you said we didn't talk about exercise. We can talk about it. So, let's talk
I
about
mean,
exercise. Go ahead.
well, no. I just was like, I think when I just as far as like when people are thinking of exercise, a lot of people think they have to be in the gym, and we touched on it, and you talked about have to be in the gym all day, and I just wanted to remind everyone when it comes to exercise that something's better than nothing. um,
Right,
you know
right.
every 5 minutes is better than zero, and then you have to build from where you are. So if you can take 15 minutes a day, just like the walking, if you can take a half hour twice a week, take the time. But just like that, or even dieting, it's not all or nothing. And we did talk about that, but just like, just try to have a balance and build from there. And don't throw it all out the window when you have a time where you're struggling and you didn't get that exercise, or you ate off your plan, whatever your plan is. Don't just throw it out the window. Just the very next meal or the very next day, go right back to it. So that's
Yeah.
all. Just, you don't have to be in hours in the gym. Forget off social media.
Right. Get off social media.
It's like
Really.
overwhelming. Like, I got to do all that.
Yeah. So I love that reminder of consistency and starting small. I mean, I feel like that's a huge theme that I'm hearing across the board. And I'll
hmm
share with everyone what reclaiming wellness looks like for me this summer. It looks like me pouring more into myself and attending and being part of other people's wellness activities.
Okay.
Because I think I'm so used to like being the one planning it, but realizing I don't have to plan everything. I can
Yes.
actually go and enjoy others. So I've been to like mini wellness retreats, wellness, health and wellness gatherings, and it's been amazing. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm appreciating more and more the importance of pouring into myself, even as I'm
Mm-hmm.
pouring into others.
I
So
understand that. Yes.
yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Greatly appreciate your time, and I look forward to having many more conversations with you and doing some more work with you, inshallah.
Inshallah. And thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed our conversation and I look forward to more collaborations.
Inshallah. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Until next month, inshallah, we'll see you on the Health and Wellness Chat. Assalamu alaikum.